You can't have the money man sitting in front of you and not pick up some nuggets that he dropping for you.
Man, what's happening, man? You got Marshawn Beast Mode Lynch,
Doug Hendrickson,
and Gavin Newsom, and you're listening to Politickin.
June on the beat. June on the beat.
Mark Cuban, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I appreciate you. Jesus Christ, where the hell haven't you been, Cuban? You've been on I turned on the TV today. It was like, Mark Cuban coming up next. Cuban said this. Well, panel comes back in 5 minutes. What the hell was wrong with Cuban? Says so-and-so on Fox.
It's playoffs. It's the playoffs, man.
Jesus
We're
Christ.
talking practice. We're talking playoffs.
Man, oh, man. There's nothing. What the hell? You're going to be like on the Cartoon Network next week or something.
You know, I got that coming up next.
Jesus.
Hey, Mark, all I know is Marshawn wanted you as his owner when he played, Mark, but he couldn't shoot threes.
Yeah, you know, but we needed somebody in the paint. I don't think anybody's going to hold him in the paint.
Oh,
hey,
yeah,
big
those
dog
guns.
and shit. You feel me? Big dog and shit. But you got Clay over there now, man.
Boy. Yeah, no, it was tough. It was good last night.
What the hell was that? What he had? I don't like this as a Warrior guy. I don't want that much left in the tank. It kind of pissed me off. 22 points.
No, Gavin, don't.
I ain't hating on Clay. Just the opposite. I just hated him leaving, bro.
Don't get the hate bones out your body. And my boy was out there pulling like a motherfucker. Whop from everywhere. God,
no, I don't know. He probably didn't get a chance to watch the game, but he made his first. But then his next one just like missed everything, and everybody's like, "Oh!" You could just hear and then it's just bam, 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 bam. Then you knew what he had, man. It was just
what he had, like six threes or something, right?
Yeah,
the hell was that?
Rebounding. He had hustle rebounds, making passes. I mean, I'm
happy. Everything. He's a good dude, man. He's a really good guy. I'm happy for him.
And Mark, let me start by saying that I just heard you on the All In podcast, and let me tell you something. We are much funner hosts than those guys are. Okay.
We don't mess with fellow podcasters, bro.
Yeah.
Those guys are an exception. I'm willing to accept that one, though.
Mark, we are the state school kids. We're the hustlers like you were. Selling shoes at 12. We're not the Ivy League guys like those guys are. So it's going to be a funner podcast for you.
Let's go. I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, but I heard you was just with my boys with all the smoke too. With
those guys. Yeah, I've known Steven and Matt forever, man. Those guys are cool.
Yeah, they are, man. They actually, I mean, I'm a Warrior. So, when they had their run out there in Oakland for sure, though. And then, Matt.
Yeah, well, I had to give Jack a lot of shit because he was on that team that we were 67 wins. The Warriors beat us, the We Believe team. And that was just like, there was no fun.
Yeah. They both came through Oakland. So, man, I was a youngster too looking up, and they attitudes was something that just, you feel me though, I connected with, like, bigger than in basketball. And you might catch them, I probably shouldn't be saying, but you could catch them out at the clubs in the
really, I'm shocked to hear that. I would never guess that.
You might catch them in Mingles and Jeffries or something. I'm like, motherfucker. And they looking at like, you little young ass boy, what the hell your young ass doing here? Shit, same thing you doing, big dog.
Because I can. Let's go. Because I can.
Yeah.
Gavin, you got to jump right in, Gavin. You got some stuff from Mark.
No, I know, but I'm curious.
Come on, Gavin.
No, what? I'm crawling out of my skin this week and I'm sorry to just a little bit of politics. We can get on all this other good stuff.
Whatever you want to talk about, I'm here.
But just a little bit, man. I'm serious about this. When the LA Times decided not to endorse, and then the Washington Post doubled down on that, and it just opened up a lot. I mean, you can't help but just wonder what the hell that's all about. Really, what's that about?
Yeah, I mean, there's two things there, right? One is, does it really matter?
Okay.
Because in this day and age, they're not the gatekeepers anymore. 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, even a little bit. But now, I mean, it's like you can look at candidates that have gotten endorsed by major papers, and has it made a difference?
No. But Mark, but the thing for me, I totally agree with you.
I know what you're saying though. Like,
but what it represents.
Yeah, is there an intimidation factor behind it? And that's the ultimate question. And I think what it represents is a big shift. In 2016 and 2020, it was the Trumpers that were the silent majority or silent half the country. Now I think that's flip-flopped. I think the Trumpers, they've been emboldened by Twitter. Elon is out there pushing them, saying, hey, this is the spot. It's all Trump all the time. And people, that's given them Twitter courage. And, that process, I think that impacted what the Times is doing and what the Post is doing. And I also think, if you look at just podcasts across the board, the right-wing ones tend to do better and generate more revenue. And I think that's part of it as well. Republicans buy sneakers too.
And what is it? But why do you think that's the case? They're just more entertaining. It's the message. What is it?
I think Republicans skew a little bit older, and I think there's a lot of reinforcement when, and also the branding of the quote unquote mainstream media. For a long time, it definitely leaned left for sure. Right. And they would tell you that's still the case today. But with digital media, everything has grown so quickly that the stronger players and with the bigger audiences, particularly online, tend to lean right. And there's more money there. And maybe, we want to think that it's, Elon, or whoever influencing the LA Times and whoever influencing Bezos, but maybe it's just the dollars. Maybe it's just the free market saying, you know what, more of our customers spend money that lean right, and our content plays better when it leans right. I'm guessing, of course, but you got to look at all those possible options.
And when it comes to the podcast, it's interesting just in terms of where the audience skews. But it also begs the question, there's sort of this bro culture we keep talking about right now. I know, and that's been a big conversation around to this gender gap in this election, which goes in both directions significantly. Yep. We tend to only talk about the gender gap as it favors Trump, not necessarily the one that Kamala has pulled away with. But what do you even subscribe to this quote unquote bro culture? Does it even mean anything to you?
Look, Marshawn's a little bit too old for this now, but
give me some game, Dan. Give me some game.
Yeah, some dudes coming up now. They don't know newspapers. My son's 15. My daughter's 18. They don't know newspapers. They don't look at that stuff at all, right? They don't watch the news. They don't turn on the TV for news. They go to Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and they scroll, and they get what the algorithm gives them. And they also get used to watching the Theo Vaughns, the Nelk Boys, the Part of My Take, all these folks. And again, it's self-reinforcing. You're going to say the shit that gets more people to watch and listen. It's like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan didn't used to be right, lean right. It paid off for him, and he went with it. And you can't be mad at him. You can't be mad at him for doing what's best for his business. But that bro culture, think about what it hits. The best way, my little parenting secret, for my kids, they're 15, 18, and 21 now, so it still applies to my youngest. But the best way to get to know what's in their head is just to look at their scrolls on TikTok and Instagram.
Well said.
That's how you know what they're
that
about.
Search engine and that history, huh?
Yeah, but because they're all day long scrolling, right? And so I look over my son's shoulder, and I'm seeing basketball, football, fantasy, hot girl, basketball, football, hot girl, and that's okay. I'm cool with those ratios, and I know those ratios are going to change.
Yeah, I know yours are a lot different than that, right, Mark?
No. I love my wife, but I know.
That's crazy. We was just talking about the algorithm and how it play. And I said, a couple of my family members showed me they algorithms, and it was just butt cheeks. That's all it was butt cheeks and dancing. I'm like, God.
You know what the game is, right?
BBLs?
BBL or not, right? Am I lying? Am I lying?
Oh, shit.
Doug, get us out of this, brother. Get us out of this. Get me out of this. I can't afford this conversation.
Man, that's it's crazy, man. It is crazy. And the thing is, them algorithms, they don't know no ages. They don't know no gender. They don't know none of that. They just feed it to you.
Yep. And I think when you talk about the bro culture and the deficit with men, and then you add to that crypto, right? Because if you're into crypto, it's mostly young men. Yeah. Like when we were growing up, it was a big deal to get a bank account, your first checking account, to write your first check, to get your first check. Now you just download Robinhood or Coinbase. You buy yourself some Dogecoin. You go on Reddit and you talk about, to the moon and, Bitcoin this and Ethereum that. And, and that's kids, particularly kids of color that are 18 to 25, because that's their savings account. And, that I think also has hurt the Democrats some, but Kamala figured it out, right?
Yep.
She started talking about it. She got to it and said, you know what? This is their savings account. This is their net worth, and we're going to support them.
So interesting. It drove me crazy. Biden was slow to that, and she finally picked up on that,
Yeah,
Mark.
Biden didn't care. He didn't give a shit.
It was interesting. It's not a knock on. I mean, I love the guy, but it was interesting. It was a stubborn thing.
It was a knock on him. It was a knock on him, He just didn't care.
Get at him, Mark. Get at him, Mark. We always say, get at Gavin. Go ahead, Gavin.
No, by the way, Cuban was one of the first to take Bitcoin in you were the Mavs, right?
Because I was going to ask you just because I know you. Because I know you the money man, so should I be thinking?
Jeez,
some
no, I own a bunch, right? It's not a bad thing to own some Bitcoin and a little bit of Ethereum, just to hold it there. It's like digital gold.
He's off.
Yo,
hold on. Let's see. Let me get.
Were you calling your broker? Or what the hell?
No, man. I'm saying you don't. Man, you don't fucking pass up no goddamn game from the money man and think that you're going to be all right. When you hear the money man speak, you shut the fuck up and you listen. So, hold on. Say that one more time. You said Ethereum and...
Just Ethereum and Bitcoin. That's what I would stick to. And let me just tell you, they can go down a lot. They can go, it's just like regular gold. Gold is kind of the old school way to save money. In a commodity, and Bitcoin and Ethereum are the new school way. But the difference is it's easier when you do it all in an app, and you can track it all and see what's going on, but you just got to put it away, just buy a little bit, put it away and forget about it.
Okay. So Mark, hold on, Fresh. Okay. Look, my bad.
He likes his money, Mark. See, he don't fuck around. He likes his
money. I'm just saying, I took some.
And by the way, Mark, he's got a lot to invest. This son of a bitch saved all his money. He saved every damn penny.
By the way, before you begin, Marshawn, this is funny. Hey, Mark, no bullshit. When I was Marshawn's agent back in the day, he had $1.2 million in fines going into the Super Bowl. And Goodell was going to fine him for not talking. He said, hey, man, I'm not giving any fucking white boy my money. Fuck this. I'm going to talk. And Mark, tell Marshawn how many fines you accumulated in your career.
Oh, man. I think 1.2 million was like the warm up. I don't even know. Like the shit they fined me for when I first got to the NBA, like my first year, I'm like, I want to get to know people on the squad, get to know the staff and everything. So the dudes that sit down next to the bench and they pick up all they give the gear and everything. So I'm saying I'm going to sit down there and I'm just going to talk to them during the game while I'm watching the game. I get a call the next day, and it's David Stern. Rest in peace, David. He's a good dude. He says, I got to find you, Mark. I'm like, for what? He goes, conduct unbecoming an owner, for sitting on the floor next to the training staff. I'm like, that's crazy. That's crazy. So, and I said, two things. One, I'm going to match that to charity, which I always do with my fines. And two, let me find a better way to get fined. Fuck y'all.
Hold on, because I got more. Because now you talk about the ownership. Because I got a little bit of stake with the ownership, but ownership too. Because I need some of that too. Because the Seattle Kraken. I got my foot in the dough. So
you got a taste of that. Good for you, man.
Got a little ownership of the Seattle Kraken, the hockey team. So I can't talk to the staff on the ice, right? So that means I couldn't go down there and talk to them. Otherwise, I would get a fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now shit down.
What is this? Why you're wearing? I've never seen Marshawn with glasses. You came prepared to be a student today. What the hell is this, bro?
Who the fuck would pass this fucking opportunity on getting this game? Look. See, now we here. Now we here. But you can't fucking. You can't. Man, come on now, Gav. You can't, Batman. You can't have it. You can't have the money man sitting in front of you and not pick up some nuggets that he dropping for you, especially when I'm trying to get into that. You feel me though? That ownership. Understanding how this shit really worked. Now, I know you made a joke about hitting my financial advisors, but I already sent the text out, this Bitcoin and Ethereum, and now I need to find ways.
Marshawn, do this. Download an app called Coinbase.
Yeah.
Coinbase.
Yep.
Yeah, or Robinhood, and just play with it. Just get a feel. Give yourself like $1,000 in there, $5,000, and just play with it before you do anything else, just so you can get a feel for what's going on.
All right, because I ain't gonna lie. At first, because man, they came back to me probably like five years ago. My boy Sidney Rice, and he like, man, you got to get on this this Bitcoin, and he trying to explain to me like how it work, and I'm like, so it's not really money, like I can't touch it, or is it like a real coin that they gonna get? Like, how? And he, nah, man, look, it's the new wave. You know what I mean? This is what everybody gonna go to.
He was right.
Within the next few years, it's gonna be, you know what I mean, that paper money. You know what I mean? Because you say about, owning a bank account and doing. We know shoebox money or money under the mattress. You know what I mean? We didn't, the bank account and how that worked, the savings and, you know what I mean? They taking a little bit out of this and going to invest it over here and doing stuff. I was like, I don't know. Why they taking my money? I can't understand that. And then, so now with this, I was really scared of it. Like, so it's just make believe.
No. It's digital, right? And so it's this thing called the blockchain, and it's a way to do different types of applications. And, it's just like all your real money, all your money in the bank, right? There's not somebody there holding like however much you got in the bank. There's not a box at the bank with all your money, right? They put it in, they loan it out, they put it in different opportunities, and they track it all digitally. And with crypto, it's a little bit similar in that you can loan it out, you can use it for different applications, you can save it, and on a supply and demand basis for Bitcoin and Ethereum, if there's more demand than there is supply, then the price goes up. If there's more supply than there is demand, the price goes down. It's just like gold, right? Yeah, it's just like gold.
Yeah, so I knew it was serious when I was at the casino, and then I see the ATM. And then they had next to it, they had
like a Bitcoin ATM. Yeah, the Bitcoin.
I'm
danger.
Oh, so this shit is really like, oh, okay, yeah. So, hey, so if y'all wasn't listening before, I'm talking to my people. Hey, y'all listen, blockchain, Coinbase, Robinhood, you know what I mean? Bitcoin and Ethereum.
I feel like I need a disclosure. Usually your own.
Well, Mark, I got to be honest. So, I work for Casey Washman, your good friend. I run football. Has been an agent for 30 years. And I got to be honest with you, like, I've always been a massive fan of you and what you've done because you've been cutting edge. And if you go back to when you bought the Mavs in 2000, it's interesting because you came in as a young owner and immediately said, I got to get the team, the right facility, mental health coach, plane, all that. Yep. And you were way ahead of the game 24 years ago. And even today, the relationships you had with your players and you talking about post-career, about financial literacy, owners today, very few of them are doing that. And we're talking 24 years later.
Yeah, it's changed a lot too, because back in the day, like, even when Marshawn came into the league, the NFL is a little bit different. There's mostly individual owners in the NFL, and they're opening up now for investment groups. In the NBA, there's more investment groups than there are individual owners, and that's changed it, right? Because for me, like, I was the only guy, and like I could do whatever I want, hang out, go to the clubs, chill, just get to know them. It was fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Check the algorithms.
Yeah, get the algorithms working. But, it also was about understanding what put us in the best position to win. How do you build culture? How do you build chemistry? What's going to put, one of the things I did, so when I first came in, there was a head coach and there were 3 assistant coaches. And that was it. And I was like, damn, we spend more money on computer repairs and computer training than we do on development for our players. So I went out and I got 15 former Mavericks, and I'm like, come on in. Each of you gets assigned a player, and you're their workout coach. You're the skills development coach, and that's the whole thing. Now you go, if you go to a game, watch before the game. If you get there early, how many coaches there are on the court working with the players. That all started back then. So they picked up on some stuff, but it's competitive. Every team's always looking for the edge.
But Mark, did you look at like Eddie DeBartolo and what he did and Jerry Buss, and did you take anything from those guys? Because they were the 2 owners prior to you that really, number one, took care of the players and had the relationships.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jerry Buss. He was the best. When I first got there, he took me under his wing, and he was like, fuck those other owners. Like, he told me a story about when he gave Magic Johnson a 25-year contract for $1 million a year after he got HIV. And he told me other stories I can't repeat, but it was just like, you know what? you be yourself. That's you. What got you here is what works for you. Don't change for us. Be yourself. And that's what I did. And literally I had one meeting I was in early on, and there was a dude who owned the Wizards, I think. And I'd already been fined a couple of times and, getting a lot of media coverage. And in the meeting, he goes, you need to just sit yourself down and shut the fuck up until you do something. And it's like some old dude. And I didn't even know his name yet. And he's giving me shit. And like David Stern was like, chill. But there was just a bunch of old dudes that didn't care. They didn't care about winning, which was good for me because when there were times when they couldn't afford to keep the roster anymore, I would just swoop in and do a trade and take their best player.
Dirk. So look, what's crazy about that is because I came from Buffalo and, Ralph Wilson, I believe, was one of the original owners.
Yep.
And, we rarely had any contact with him. But, every now and then he would come. I remember I had a game and, he came in and was like, hey, man, we're going to try to do something to get you some help. And I'm just like, damn, everybody was like, hold on, was that the owner he just talked to you? Like, what the fuck is that? So when I get traded to Seattle, Paul Allen, rest in peace. That's my dog.
Yeah, Paul Allen was a beast. Yeah, he was a different guy. He was a different guy, but he's got a heart of gold.
So a lot of people was telling me, oh yeah, Paul Allen, this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, man, okay. So I had a foundation dinner and he came. And everybody like, what the fuck? Like, how'd you get Paul Allen to come to your fucking dinner? I'm like, shit, I don't know. But he came. He played
guitar. Yeah,
he played his guitar, and I sat next to him, and I'm just having conversation, like, because in my head I'm thinking like everybody, oh, he's weird and this, that, and the third. So I'm like, man, fuck that. I'm like, hey, dog, what's happening, man? How you doing? Like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like, man, everybody been telling me you weird and you awkward and shit, and I'm like, well, shit, you want to get a drink? He like, shit, all right. What we drinking? I'm like, Patrenacy. He said, Patron? What is Patron? I'm like, it's a half. Look, now I'm excited. Hey, man, it's a half shot of Patron. It's a half shot of Hennessy, and we going to be on. And he like, okay, cool. All right. So, man, I took the shot with him. Like, yeah, we politicked the whole day, you feel me, at the event. You know what I mean? Got That's people awesome. There. And then this is when I'm like, oh, yeah, he different. So he gave me his email like, hey, if you ever need some help or you want to figure something out, don't hesitate to hit me. Okay. So I was trying to get a Beast Mode store in Seattle. So I just hit him up like, hey, what's up, man? I'm looking for a building and blah, blah, blah. He didn't respond to me. But that day, I got a call. Like, hey, Marshawn, I'm so-and-so. Paul Allen, told me you reached out. We heard you looking for a space. What you looking for? So I told him the specs on what I'm looking for. Okay, when can you check it out? I'm in Oakland. I'm like, today. He said, okay, cool. What time? I said, like around 6. All right, cool. I flew from Oakland to Seattle. They took me to like 3-4 different buildings. I'm like, oh, I like this one. Okay, cool. It's done. I'm like, what you mean it's done? Like, it's done. When Paul say something, we go and get it done. And I'm like, God Very damn. Cool. So within maybe 4 or 5 hours, I secured a building, secured a space. It was right next to the stadium. And I'm just like, oh yeah, this guy That's is cool. different.
That's cool.
This guy is different.
That'd be a hell of a salary cap violation in the NBA.
Oh, is that? Yeah, that's something. That's a whole different thing.
Jail, but no, I feel you. That's who he was, man. He had a heart of gold.
But that's the kind of owner that I see you as, like, when it comes to some real shit.
Why are more NFL owners not like you in the NBA? Is it just, you think it's the level of players in the team, the amount of players?
No,
the turnover or what?
I'm a ball is life guy. Half the most fun I have is the games, and the other half is like I get to go out in the court before a game and get up shots and play one-on-one or get some run in. And when you live it, like if you're a football guy at heart, you're going to want to be out there and talking to people. If it's just a business, then you're not, then you're just going to treat it as a business. If you played the game, because you know what it's like Marshawn, you know what it's like now. You watch a game and your body's moving because you're looking and you're thinking, right, what's going on, right? Anybody who's played, I don't care what level it is in basketball, when it's your team and you're watching the game and and you feel it the whole time. Yeah, exactly. Wet. And so, that's the difference. Not some guys buy it for the investment. Some people buy it because it's the family business or in it because of the family business. And some people, they bought the team for the love of the game. And when you buy for the love of the game, you'll just see it's a whole different perspective.
Mark, but I'm curious because there's different trains of thoughts. I mean, obviously your success and what you've been able to build and brand and initiate. I mean, so many ways it's a culture you've initiated and inspired. But there are a lot of other sort of, I can think of a few names I won't mention, where there's such a dominant owner that you sometimes wonder if that dominant owner weren't the one making every damn decision or wasn't ubiquitous, step back, had a different group come in, that the team would actually perform at a different level.
Look, I've been accused of both. When we were winning, I was a genius. When we were losing, I was a fucking idiot. And that's just the way it goes. And it's very Darwinian. Either it's on the left, meaning it's in the win column and you're going to the playoffs and you're getting somewhere, or it's not. And if you're an owner like I was that was really involved, and part of the reason, Gavin, is it's a lot of fucking money. I don't care who you are. Yeah. When you're making a decision on a contract that's going to be $100 million or now 150 or 200 million, you want to make sure that the process is right and you're getting it right. And in the NFL, it's a hard cap, and it's everybody gives themselves a little leeway to do buyouts. But if you get it wrong, particularly at the quarterback position, doesn't matter how smart you are. If you did everything right and then you got it wrong, and then sometimes it's just luck. Luck is more important than 99% of anything else that happens. In the NFL, if you get matched up with a conference that sucks, and you got your game against them, you're going to look like a hero. In the NBA, if like the Mavs, and we've been alive for 45 years, 45 drafts. Not one time have the Mavericks ever got the number one pick. Not one time have the Mavericks ever moved up in the draft. I'm just talking about move up. Like the Luka year, we worked really hard to have the third worst record, but we ended up with the 5th pick after the lottery.
You're not supposed to say that out loud, Mark.
He said we worked really hard.
We were so committed to losing.
Because it was a development season. And that was hard because they needed a lot of development. And but we had the third worst record, ended up with the 5th pick, and that cost us the draft pick. Then you look at San Antonio, right? So I bought the team in 2098. I forget, I'm not gonna get the years right, but not one year they tank and they get David Robinson. Then David Robinson gets hurt, and they get
Tim Duncan.
Then this last year they get me. I'm like, what the fuck?
I can't catch a break.
In 2014, you kind of said the NFL in your mind had about a 10-year run. You were concerned. And do you see, I mean, to me, as an NFL agent, people, number one, the gambling's been big, right? But people love the violence. They love the injuries. They love the hits. They love every play means something. Was your opinion back then, just from the standpoint of concussions and whatnot?
That was a little bit of it. And that's still kind of an issue. But my point back then was that they were trying to put it on too many nights of TV. And so it went from Sunday night and Monday night to Thursday night, and then a Friday night game sometimes, and whenever it was, Saturday game sometimes. And I thought it would be oversaturated. Obviously, I was wrong. And what I didn't account for as much as I should have isn't so much gambling, even though that helps a lot, but fucking fantasy sports.
Fantasy.
Right?
Oh, shit.
That's it. People get pissed. They get pissed at you if the over under, you don't do this, you don't do that, and they lose money. But fantasy sports, they're thinking I'm going to have to wear a fucking dress to school if I lose this season with my guys, right? And that's what drove the NFL, because realize it was only 30 years ago that there was teams leaving in the middle of the night.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, Yahoo comes along and starts fantasy sports for the NFL, and bam, it just blows up. And it's the only sport that really works well. Basketball's got fantasy sports, but there's too many games. You have all week to work on it. And the other thing about football that I didn't account for, there's only 12 minutes of actual action in a football game.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to watch football. If you look at the ratings, it's an inverse relationship between the amount of minutes played. The games that have the most minutes, like soccer, have the worst ratings because you got to watch the whole time. Baseball has the next worst ratings because you got to watch the whole time. Then basketball gets better because it's 48 minutes. And then football's got 12 minutes. You can take a shit, you can, do your homework, and you're not going to miss a play. And it's just, football is the easiest sports to watch.
It's really interesting. Didn't you make a play you've made a play for, hell, half the damn teams in all these leagues. I mean, I see your name associated.
No, only a couple.
But
When I first made money and sold broadcast.com, because I grew up in Pittsburgh, I took a look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. I wasn't a hockey guy, but they were at threat of closing down or moving. And so that's why I looked at it, but it didn't work out. Mary Lemieux ended up buying them. And then I looked at the Cubs in 2008 because it was the Cubs. Didn't happen. Then 2010, Cubs real quick. So I was talking to Sam, I forget his last name, real estate guy, raspy voice. And I sat in his office and I offered him $800 million for the Cubs. And I thought he's going to get on his knees, say, thank you very much. He was like, no. No, that's not. I'm like, okay, that's my offer. So that's what happened there. And then 2010, the Rangers went up to bankruptcy, and I was in the bidding for that in a bankruptcy court. And the Major League Baseball, Bud Selig, the commissioner, just told people to tell me there ain't no fucking way we're letting you win this, and that's what happened there.
What was that about? Just some personal thing? What was it?
No, they thought I was going to be the next George Steinbrenner and fuck up the no salary cap league.
Well, Mark, we need you to come in and buy the A's when they were here. That's a fucking disaster, as you know.
Conversation.
God, yeah, but I mean, I've had enough. Baseball's too many games. I would be dead because I'd get so into it.
Hey, Mark, let me ask you a question. As you've been stated that you don't like traditional politics, but you know what? I know you've actually liked Gavin. You like him as a person.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of stuck saying that now, Mark. Jesus Christ.
No, Mark. By the way,
I like you and not agree with you, so stay tuned.
No, Mark's going to be completely honest.
Yeah, thanks, asshole.
But Mark, the second part of that is, as you know, there's been some rumors that the Oakland mayor might be recalled, and guess what? Our partner,
we got Marshawn. He's the real politician here.
There y'all go.
So now, Mark, we might have a dream team of a non-traditional politician to run Oakland, which
Mark,
I know
tell him to stay. Give him the best advice you can. Stay away from politics and let him enjoy his life.
John, okay, you can have two different attitudes, right? There's the whole public service attitude, and there's the all, what the fuck? Let's just see what it's like attitude, right? What's the worst? You lose, you learn, you win, you fuck them all up, right? You change the game.
I like the latter. You've convinced me. Marshawn, you got to do it, bro.
Look, I told you, man, I got a secret weapon, man. Batman. You got to come through for me.
So I did Dancing with the Stars, and I'll tell you why I did Dancing with the Stars, which was the hardest, scariest thing I've ever done in my life. Dancing live in front of 22 million people, but I did beat Floyd Mayweather, so that was cool. But in any event, and I said to myself, I don't want to be 95 years old and look back on in my last days and say, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Nice.
Why didn't I do it?
Nice.
So if it's something you think in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you're going to look back and say, damn, I should have done that. Then you always do it.
Don't dream of regretting. I love that.
Yeah, I'm in it, man. Cause and the thing is, when you talk about traditional politics and all of that type of shit, like I'm not a traditional type of motherfucker, first and foremost.
Yes, you are. Come on.
But then at the end of the day, it's like I'm looking at my city and what it's really going through, and it's like, you know what I mean? The way I see it is like, the politicians, they go in there with a mindset, and I'm not talking about you specifically, Gavin, but the motherfuckers be bought, and they got a narrative, and they got, ulterior motives that they trying to get, pushed. And I'm looking at
most of them just want power. It's all about power, man. Because if you don't have another skill, like you busted your ass, right? People don't realize what's involved. Everybody tells you they could have been that next Marshawn Lynch, right? And you're going to come up, I'm going to be you. But then when you ask them how much work they do,
it just don't add up.
It doesn't happen, right?
They math ain't mathing when it comes to it.
Politics is like the path of least resistance to get power. You can go and accomplish, and you can go and win an election. Just look at who Kamala Harris is running against.
Yeah.
And what is it? There's sort of an archetype. Let's talk. Why the hell are you, Mark Cuban? you have put yourself so goddamn far out in this election. It's one that you've dabbled in this stuff. You've not just dabbled. You've been rumored to run for president yourself back in 2020. You had some fun with that as well. I thought you were pretty damn serious about it. And you supported candidates at all political parties, which is great. You kind of have, sort of associated with a sort of a libertarian framework. But man, you are next level all in for Kamala. And that has all the benefits and all the damn risks attached to it. What are you doing? What are you thinking? I love it, but I appreciate it. But what are you thinking? I
mean, this country is important to me. I don't, you guys don't know who the fuck I am if it weren't for all the things this country has given me and that I respect and I appreciate and don't take for granted. And I never really got into politics hard until Trump ran. And, initially I actually supported him because I thought he had no chance to win. And I just thought, okay, he's not a politician. He's going to bring a different perspective and that's cool. But he just doesn't do the work. He cares about himself. He doesn't, understand policy or try to understand policy. It's all on feel. He's just a salesperson. He's not trying to do the right thing. And that scares me, and we can get into all the things that we all read about and hear about and all that kind of stuff. That's scary. That is really, really scary. And I just don't want to see that for my kids. And honestly, I didn't think it would snowball like this, but all I'm really doing is going out and doing interviews and doing town halls. It's not like, And
a rally or two here and there. You did one last week.
That was fun. That was one of those life experiences, right? Where you get in front, that stuff.
In front of 10,000 people, giving a speech, man. You hit it. You nailed it. I texted you. I thought it was great, bro. You crushed it, man.
I was fine. I wrote it about 10 minutes before I got there in the car on the way. So I'm looking on my phone.
Yeah, you had it on the phone. I'm like, this is a modern version. Jesus.
So Mark, let me ask you a question as an ex-NBA owner. It's interesting. The other day I called literally 65 of my clients across the NFL. And I said, hey, I'm just curious. I don't care who you're voting for. I'm just curious. Who do you think the majority of the locker room is voting for? And universally, every one of them said Trump. And you're an NBA guy. Why do you think that is as far as the athletes in terms of their mindset?
Yeah, they think he's going to be better for money. And that's why I'm out there telling him he's not. The tariffs he's trying to propose, awful for athletes, right? They'll make, but bigger picture, look, Kamala will probably increase their income tax 2%. And to some people, that's a big deal, right? To other people, they'll put the country first. But the bigger thing is how he's going to treat people. If, every single one of those players does something in the community, almost all of them have foundations that get involved in the community. And if they think that Donald Trump is going to be supportive of people of color, they've got another thing coming. It's just going to make their lives harder. But look, athletes have never been known for doing the work in terms of most people, 99% of people just now, like we were saying before, just get their information from memes. And damn well, players are on Instagram all day, every day looking for them.
That's good. That's good to hear though, from somebody who, actually, done the work.
Yeah. If you look at what's going on, like there's 33 million companies in this country. 99% of them are small businesses. They're subchapter S, they're limited liability corporations.
Pass through,
right? And Kamala has said, if you make $400,000 or less, your taxes are either going to stay the same or go down, which means 99% of the owners of those companies, their taxes are going to stay the same or go down. So there's nothing that Donald Trump is doing that's going to impact positively any of those companies. But on the flip side, if you're a small business and let's just take a step back. Let's just say you're planning your Christmas buys for Christmas now, right? Right around now, you're thinking about what you're going to get your kids. A year from now, Donald Trump's in office and he puts 60% tariffs on China. Let me just tell you, most of the shit you were going to buy your family, friends, and kids is from China. And that means all those prices are going up. So you tell the athletes, Rich, you tell them, you're like, all the presents and shit you're going to get them next year if he wins, you're paying a whole lot more, but it gets worse. Right? Because where do you buy all that shit from? A lot of it you buy from small businesses. You buy from your jewelry dude, right? You buy the shoes at that store the only one that carries your size in Atlanta, whatever it is, right? And you don't have as much money to spend because those tariffs jacked up all those costs. So those small businesses are suffering now too, and a lot of them are going to go out of business like they did last time Trump got into a tariff war. So I'm out there telling people this is what's going to happen if he does his tariffs. Most people just don't understand that, but I've had to live it.
And by the way, that's why people are listening to you. We've been talking about this tariff. I've been out on the road. I give that tariff speech. No one gives a damn. You go out there and it's like, it's like Marshawn pulls out the pen. It's like Cuban's saying this. There he is. Like all of a sudden,
you got to relate it to people's pocketbook. When you just say it's a tax, it's just like sales tax. People don't think twice, right? But when you say, okay, Christmas.
I love it. And then you're the only guy saying that. Only goddamn guy saying that. You're spot on, man.
Well, Mark, my question is, so is Kamala and them, do they have the right message in terms of dumbing it down and giving the bullet points to what people need to hear?
Well, that's why they got me going out there, because Kamala just got out there 13 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And she would think about this. You got a dude that was the president, ran for president in 2020, been campaigning ever since. So that's 9 straight years he's campaigning for president. And in 13 weeks, this lady comes along that people just know she's the vice president, didn't have high favorable ratings, didn't have high visibility, and catches up to the motherfucker, right? If you got all of a sudden, that's like me running a race against Marshawn, and all of a sudden I'm catching up. It's like, what the hell's going on? And so he's accomplished a lot. But I'm going to tell you guys the worst part of what I see from Donald Trump, big picture, right? And that's deportations. He's talking about mass deportations. If you all know anybody who's got a relative that doesn't have all their documentation down, like you might have somebody whose grandmother came over 30 years ago or grandpap came over 30 years ago, and they got 3 American kids and 4 American grandkids.
Yep.
Well, don't be surprised if someone comes knocking on their door. Don't be surprised if someone shows up at your office and goes, okay, I want to know, there's this thing called I-9, which determines their immigration status and everything, their work status. I want your I-9 list of every single employee so I can go knock on their door at their house to find out if there's anybody undocumented there. And don't be surprised if all of a sudden, like the way Trump is talking about using this American, I forget, the AEA of 1798. What was it?
Oh, yeah. This which we used to intern the Japanese.
But it's worse. So literally with this law from 1798, if he says that we're at war, just like that's how we got the tariffs in. He said we were at war with China, economic war with China. And so if he does something like that, it's not just about deporting people who are here illegally or undocumented. He can take somebody who's here legally. So if he says we've got something going on with Venezuela, you're here legally, you've got a residency, see ya. He's got that option. Imagine what happens, Marshawn, in Oakland. If somebody's knocking on doors, going through, I don't know Oakland at all, but going through a part of town where there's a community where there are a lot of undocumented people. They may be grandparents, they may be workers, whatever it is that have been here for decades. And people start pulling people out of the house. Yep. I mean, how do you think people are going to respond?
I know how they're going to respond.
That's right.
Oakland, it's already violent. It'll get even more violent, and you know how people feel about their
family, right? You can't count
the grandparents. Like that's one thing you don't play
aunts,
with.
Their cousins, their nephews, right? We all know somebody who's got somebody undocumented in their family, or we know somebody who's undocumented.
And so, Mark, you think this starts like day 20 if he gets in, like right away?
I don't think he can start doing that immediately, but he's going to set it up. He's talking about it every day. He's talking about it every single day.
And Mark, as Mark reminds everybody, and for Marshawn and Doug and everyone listening, the tariffs, you don't need Congress. No. The President of the United States has a unilateral ability to impose these tariffs, 60% on all imported goods from China, up to 20% on about $3.1 trillion of imported goods from the rest of the world. We're not even talking about retaliatory tariffs.
So, Marshawn, let me tell you about retaliatory tariffs. Let's just say you want to start a company that exports all the merch that you have, right? Do you guys sell merchandise anywhere outside the country?
Beast mode.
Yeah, my beast mode apparel. Like if we get, somebody buy it from overseas or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they don't make it so you can't afford it. The stuff where do you make your stuff? The beast mode merchandise. Where do you make it?
We make some over in China.
Yeah. Now, if all of a sudden that beast mode stuff went up from China, went up 60%. And from Philippines went up 20%.
Yep.
What's that do to your business?
Yeah, that hurt. That hurt a lot.
And that's, by the way, Marshawn, that's literally what he's proposing. That's his closing argument in this campaign. And he's delusional about it. Mark's making this point. He literally doesn't understand. He's stuck on stupid back in the 1980s mindset.
Yeah, and it used to be like he tried it before, and what ended up happening is China kicked his ass. So he said, China, we're going to tariff you on all this stuff because I want people to make this stuff here. Let's just walk through this, right? If somebody can make something, like just say like your merchandise, if they can make it here at an affordable price, they'd already be doing it. The reason they don't make it here, like I would start that business if I could do it and take that business back. And I have a couple of businesses set up robotics manufacturing and brought manufacturing back. But if they can make it here, they would have done it already. The reason they don't do it is Americans won't pay more for made in America products. We just won't. If everybody paid 20% more for everything, then, beast mode products could just make it here.
And by the way, here's in a perfect proof point of that, Mark, is the Trump Bible is made in China.
It's made in China.
Made in damn China. Can't make this shit up.
Is his shoes made out there too?
His ties are made there. Don't even bring up the sneakers, bro, or the Swiss watch that's made down at some local damn shopping mall.
Yeah, I saw that. You know why he sells all that shit? Because he has to. He needs the fucking money.
Yeah, that's not for the campaign. That's part. He's got his own crypto thing too. Make sure Marshawn doesn't write that one down.
Hey, Mark, let me ask you a question. I mean, I know, and back in the day, you were friends with him and all that. Going through all this stuff now, does he call you offline and say, "Hey, Mark, come on, man"? Like, have you don't talk to him anymore like that? No, I
haven't talked to him since he invited me to the White House at the end of his term. I haven't talked to him.
Okay. Same with me, man. About the same time.
So he did his Truth Social thing about me, and he said, "Oh, I'm a bully. I suck, this and that."
Yeah, you suck as a golfer, bro. What's up with that? Come on, Cuban.
So I'm going to tell you guys the truth. What I told everybody else is I could outdrive him anytime, right? I'd kick his ass. The reality is I haven't golfed since 1989. So when he says he's seen me golf, it's so full of shit, right? I golfed with one of my customers, and I was one of these dudes that like I hadn't practiced, and I got so mad I was ready to throw clubs in front of one of my customers, and I was like, "There's no chance. I can't do this. I'll kill my company." And so so he talks about my golf club head speed and how unathletic I am. Like he's a beast, right?
Hey. Mark, just, as we're short, I'm worried about not getting all this stuff, and we could talk to you forever, man. But I loved your mindset of just about, putting everything out on the line. You get one chance at life. As Doug loves to say, you have only so many summers left, and having that mindset, you're just constantly going. One of the things that I really appreciate and admire, you've also gone into one of the most difficult goddamn businesses in the world, one of the most opaque businesses in the world, and that's the healthcare and drug space with this Cost Plus drug.com business, which I know you and I have had a few exchanges about. How the hell is that going? And tell us a little bit about that, man.
So it's called costplusdrugs.com. And you talked about the drug industry being opaque. Before us, you get a prescription. The doctor just says, "What pharmacy do you use?" And you really don't know what it's going to cost. If you're a self-insured employer, you have no idea what your medications cost to this day. So what we did, we said, if you go to costplusdrugs.com, and Marshawn, pay attention to this one, and you put in this drug called Tadalafil, right? Which is generic Cialis, I'm just saying. But if you put that in, right, and up it comes, we show you our cost. So we show you our cost of what it is, and we show you our markup, which is 15%. And then we show you our shipping and handling and our pharmacy fee, which is $10, or you can pick up a local pharmacy. By doing that, we've cut the cost of medications for people, in some cases, thousands of dollars per month. Like I had one friend, he had this drug droxidopa, which I still don't know what it does. He was looking at having to pay $10,000 every 3 months. Wow, I said, let's see if we carry it. We carried it $64 a month. And now it's even cheaper than that. And so we're just blowing up. I mean, people are just going in there, and not only are patients checking it out and saving a lot of money, but now there's like research companies, because we publish our price list, that are going out and saying, okay, if the federal government or even the state of California had bought all their medications through costplusdrugs.com, then you would have saved, Medicare would have saved $3.6 billion for these 9 drugs, $6.3 billion a year for these 11. It's insane. And so just that transparency, and I'll tie this back to Kamala. So when I talk to her team and we start talking about ways to cut cost of living for families and households, we talk specifically about this, that if you start to take on, and Gavin, you know about this stuff, if you start to take on the pharmacy benefit managers, the pharmacy middlemen who set the prices of medications, you're going to be able to have an impact. And if you introduce on top of that transparency, like Cost Plus has done, then you're going to cut costs immediately. And, with what she's proposing, I truly believe that you can cut costs 20, 30, 40% for medications for people's households. And that's a big offset against inflation. And it means, for lots of families, they're spending lots less. And even if you have good insurance, if your copay or your deductible is high, this would still, that approach would still save them a lot of money, which would turn things around in terms of out-of-pocket costs for families.
And what's the name of that company again?
costplusdrugs.com. And just put in generic Viagra.
What? All of a sudden, these two guys looked up. Really?
Let me just tell you, this is what I tell all my friends, right? I'm like, it costs you for a big bag of M&Ms, it costs you about $10. And you can put them in a bowl next to your bed or wherever. You can get 90 generic Cialis or generic Viagra for $9.90 plus shipping and handling,
And go beat the brakes off some shit like, look.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Beating shit down. You hear me jumping off the ceiling like, some shit. Hanging from the ceiling fan.
Hey, Mark, to be young and single, Mark. To be young and single, Mark.
Young and single.
If that's not the next mayor of Oakland, California.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And there you are. Jesus. Really, Mr.
Mark,
Mayor.
it's good.
Is that how we're going to represent Oakland?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Hey,
You know what I mean?
What happened to the birth rate in this country, right?
Hey, man, and that bring the stress level down.
Oh, man.
Down.
Oh,
and you know when you got more happy people, you got more happy times.
Yeah.
It all go hand in hand.
Marshawn, I'm here for you. I'm just trying to do my part.
Hey, Mark, I do have a question going back, way back when, Mark. I was curious because when you dropped out of high school your senior year to go to college,
yeah,
were your parents behind that? Your friends were like, what the fuck's this guy doing? I mean, that was the coolest thing in the world. The hustle and grind you had back then, dude, I applaud big time, man, because I've been the same way. And how was their reaction back then when they did that?
I didn't really tell them. And so I took classes at night at the University of Pittsburgh my junior year, and I did well, right? And yeah, I was 16. I didn't get A's, I got B's, which is for a 16-year-old in college, which is cool. But so I wasn't one of those super, geniuses that just aced everything. But then I was already in the University of Pittsburgh. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to go to college. And literally, because I'm going to have more fun in college than I was in high school. Because, I'm 6'2" and a little bit now, but I weighed more than I do now when I was like a sophomore and junior in high school. And I was 5 inches shorter. And so I kind of glowed up afterwards. And I was starting to, by the time my senior year came along, and I wanted to take advantage of that.
That's awesome. Hey, but Mark, going back to the early days of the Mavs, I mean, you were single for how many years before you owned the team?
Going here?
3.
So
Thank
3
God
years.
it was only 3.
Hold on, Gavin. He owns the freaking team. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's why I've said, thank God it was only 3.
And Mark, God bless you, man. We talk about being on borrowed time. I mean, that must have been some of the funnest years of your life. Owning the fucking team.
No, developing a long-term relationship gives it more meaning and purpose.
No. Let's take a couple years before that, okay? So after I sold my first company, it was a company called Micro Solutions, and I got a few $1 million out of it. So remember the old school steakhouses that, like in the movie Casino, where they had these phone jacks and you can get a phone and you could plug it in and call somebody?
Oh, yeah.
So I went to one of these old school steakhouses. I was just fucked up. I mean, I was on another level of stuttering and stumbling and all that. And they're like, what do you want to get? And I'm not really into cars. I already had a house. And I was like, I want to get a lifetime pass on American Airlines. I want to see if they have them. So I asked for the phone. I plug it in. I'm like, hello, American Airlines. Do you guys have lifetime passes? Sure, let me connect you to the Air Pass department. So hungover and all, they send me stuff the next day, FedEx, and I'm looking at it, and it's like $125,000 for me and somebody else to fly wherever we wanted on American Airlines for the rest of my life.
Holy shit.
That's when I had fun.
Oh, you can do that?
Boom. Yeah, of course, the son of a bitch a few years later buys a G something online for 40 goddamn million bucks. So you never even use the damn thing.
You can buy a lifetime pass.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Not
Used
anymore,
to, bro.
Marshawn.
Are you grandfathered in?
No, so I gave it to one of my friends after my dad. So you're not supposed to be able to give it away, but I gave it to my dad. He passed, and then I gave it to one of my friends who doesn't fly all that much but uses it.
Well, if they don't, find it handy anymore.
You're next.
You're
Yeah,
next.
I might be able to put that to use.
Let me just tell you, Marshawn, I used to I spent some time living in Manhattan Beach in LA, and I would just go out to the clubs. I'd be like, want to go to Vegas? What? Come on, let's just go. Bam.
Right now.
Want to go to
So, by the way, Mark, Manhattan Beach is my happy place. I'm down there every July. My daughter plays beach volleyball. I love Manhattan Beach. That was your stomping ground. Jesus.
Yeah, I still got a spot there. Shellbacks is my spot.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then it begs this question. What spot? Come on, Cuban, tell the truth. Is it Treasury or SEC? What the hell?
No, nothing. I don't want anything.
Are you serious? Nothing? No bullshit.
When I said SEC, I was just trolling the people.
You were
there.
joking? You were having fun just because of all for obvious reasons, having fun on the SEC. Treasury's legit, though. I'm just saying.
No, yeah, let JB Diamond get that. I mean, it'd be fun to have your name on the money. That would be cool as shit. But yeah, I like costplusdrugs.com. I think I can have more impact on the outside than on the inside. And I cannot see putting on a suit every day and go to work. Literally, after I sold my first company, I got rid of my watch and said I'd never wear a watch again because that means I have to be on somebody else's time. And until I got an iWatch for workouts, didn't wear a watch for years, decades. And I don't want to go back to having to work on somebody else's clock. I want to be able to live my life.
I admire your clarity on that, and I've heard you answer similarly. So I appreciate your consistency, but it also just reinforces how meaningful your support of Kamala is at this critical time. No bullshit. I'm just, I'm curious. Do you really, if Trump actually pulls this, I have a lot of friends who are like, come on, man, we survived the first 4 years. Right. You said the same thing. You said the sky was going to come in. You overstated everything. We were fine up until COVID. Things were pretty good. Do you really feel this is as existential as some have made it out?
Yeah, it's like Tony Soprano. When he was a baby gangster and first got control of the family, he wasn't all that powerful. But when you're in and you already know the ropes, who knows? So look, I'm not going to say it's 100% he's going to be all that, but it's certainly greater than 0%. And that greater than 0% is enough for me just to say it's just, I don't want to take that risk. It's just, there's no reason.
So how does that, the situation, right? So you had a pandemic and then it's like, oh yeah, well, Trump gave us all this money, blase. And then, when it finally comes out like, oh no, that wasn't a Trump thing. Like,
yeah, it was all Biden for inflation. Yeah.
So is it something where it's like, there's money put aside for when you have a pandemic or something that's
no, there's no money put aside for anything. No, we're in debt, man. It's just, it's no different than your house, right? People that are in debt, and no matter how hard they work, they keep on falling further and further. It's like using a credit card, right? If you use a credit card and it's at 29% interest and you don't pay in 30 days, it's just like, it's going to add up fast. And that's what's happening to, with us. So the question becomes, who's going to cut the deficit and how are you going to do it? And that's a real question. Like, I sat down and did this interview with Kamala, and I asked her, how do we cut the deficit? And she was like, look, and she did this as AG. She's like, you got to look at programs to see what's efficient and what's working and what's not. And some things you're going to have to cut. Others, you have to look big picture that you don't want to cut them, but you can make them more efficient. You can use technology. You can use new tools. You can, she told this story at one speech about it only took 1 year to build the Empire State Building. 1 year. Yep. And it takes longer than that just to think about getting permits these days. And so she's talked about reducing that. And if you start doing those things and growing, then you can deal with the deficit. But if you're Trump and you've got all these tariffs and you crush the economy, you can't grow your way out of it.
I love it. And speaking of way out, you're out of Shark Tank. One more season, huh? That's it?
That's my last one. I'm done filming. This is my 15th season. That was enough. We shoot in September and June and September in Culver City at Sony. But June is when my kids would always get out of school, and September is when they go back. And I was always missing the shit. And I was like, when they were little, I can make them work around my schedule and do what I want them to do. Now that they're teenagers and 21, they don't give a shit about me, right? I got to work to their schedule. And so I don't want to miss that.
And was that a big part of why you sold the majority stake in the Mavs?
Not so much, a little bit, right? Because like we were just talking about all the shit owners get, and like if you're doing well, you're a hero, and if not, everybody's saying, I don't want my kids to be in that position, at least the way things are right now. And it's not that they would take over tomorrow, but I've seen it happen where it just destroys the kids of owners, that come in, and it's not easy. And so that's part one. And part two is just the nature of the economics of the game. Like when it was media and tech, I was the guy, right? You couldn't get anything by me. I knew what was going on. I would do shit and the league would say, don't do it. I do it. Then they'd start doing it. And that I had an advantage. Now the whole thing is real estate and casino, real estate and casino. And that's just not my thing. And I don't want to be in a position where I'm putting up $2 billion to get an education on real estate and gaming, And so that was the other reason I sold.
So
Nice.
Mark, would you get back in the Entourage series again, Mark, if it came back?
Oh yeah, actually, Doug Ellen put together a little something. So we'll see if it catches on that I went back to. That was so much fun. And my boy Russ Wilson, right? He's on the Steelers now. We did the Entourage.
We know Russ. Someone did hand Marshawn the ball off, Mark, in the Super Bowl.
Oh Jesus, we got to go back to that. That was the guy upstairs, Marshawn. Conspiracy.
You are living, Marshawn. I'm just bringing it up again. Not a big deal.
Let me live, Fresh. Let me live.
Let me breathe.
But I'm gonna tell you this, Fresh. You should have pulled me by the collar. Like, hey, I understand this football thing is all right, but you should have pulled me and told me to go get a jump shot or something. Because when you said that 152, that shit sound a little different. That sound a little different.
It's real money, that's for sure.
Yeah, that sounds like I'll be able to do something for my family.
Yeah, you could do something. There's still time. There's still time.
Yeah. Oh no!
But Mark, I got to tell you, man, I got to, and honestly, I what you've done. I mean, look, everybody in college says they want to start a bar. You did it. You bought an NFL. You bought an NBA team. You're outspoken in what you believe in. I mean, what you've done, how you live your life.
Taking on big pharma, brother. That's next level. You guys don't appreciate what Mark's doing in that space, bro.
I do, Gavin. And Mark, when my dad died when I was 16, I always said I'm on borrowed time. And you lived that way, man. And I appreciate how you've lived. You've done it the right way. You've been outspoken. It's really cool to see how you've lived, and as a father and a business guy and all that. It's been very, very impressive, man. I got to be honest with you. Very, very impressive.
All I got to say is when I die, I want to come back as me.
Oh,
hey, fucking man.
That's so good. Damn. Mic drop. That's good.
Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I'm jealous.
So, Mark, anytime you want to get your plane or the American Airlines thing, you want us to be on a road trip.
If you run out of friends, we'll take it.
We're all in, Mark. We're all in.
Celebration ceremony when Marshawn wins Oakland, it's on.
That's what I'm talking about.
I like
Harris
that. I like that.
Keeps sanity for 4 more years in this country. Thank you, brother. Great to have you here, man.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Really had fun, man. I appreciate you.
And I'm going to check these out immediately. I'm going to check them out immediately.
You know how to get hold of me.
Thank you,
Thanks,
boss,
Mark.
man.
I appreciate it, bud.
Appreciate it, brother.
Okay.
Take care.